Alright, so we're starting off our FTX2 workout for back. We're going to be hitting the lats to start. The first half of the workout's going to be basically for the belly of the lats, and we're going to start off with our high rep movement to exhaust the slow twitch muscle fibers. We're going to start off with stiff arm pull downs, very, very strict form. Repetitions anywhere in the range of 20 to 30. You just push it as far as you possibly can. But again, with this type of training program, what we want to do is exhaust the slow twitch muscle fibers in the beginning, and then the fast twitch muscle fibers will be the ones that are primarily worked, and those are the ones that grow after we finish this exercise. So I'm going to start off with stiff arm pull downs now, and then we'll move on to the next one. I got about 27 reps. My lats are already burning. When you do this exercise, keep that position that you saw myself in, slightly leaning forward, arms perfectly straight and hands over the bar. I usually go with a thumbless grip on this one to keep the biceps out of it, but just make sure you don't bend the wrists back, otherwise you'll start working the triceps. And great movement for isolating the width of the lats and for, like I said, exhausting those slow twitch muscle fibers. I'm done. Okay, so we completed our first exercise, which was the stiff arm pull down, where we went for the high repetitions to exhaust the endurance of the slow twitch muscle fibers, which are from 20 to 30 reps, and that's what we did. We killed it. Great pump in the lats, and now our fast twitch muscle fibers are going to engage right away. And what we want to do is we want to go with real low reps for the second exercise, around 4 to 6, because we also want to engage the central nervous system, and that helps the fast twitch fibers to start. They wake up, they fire very, very quickly when the nervous system is elevated, and then for the exercises that come after this one, it's even more effective. So that's the reason behind this. We're going to do a seated cable row. Like I said, we're working the lats first in the first half of the workout, so all the movements that we're doing are going to be movements where the elbows are kept close to the body. Movements where the elbows come away from the body are more for the mid-back, which we're going to approach later, but right now we just want to work the lats. So everything's going to be underhand grip or close grip. And so we're going to do, like I said, a standard close grip seated cable row. We're going to go for about 4 to 7 repetitions. The tempo is going to be rather slow, as you can see, but there's going to be a lot of power behind the pull portion of the movement, or the concentric portion of the movement, to activate the central nervous system. And the eccentric is going to be a little bit slower, and the stretch is going to be held for a moment to trauma the muscle fibers. And I'm going to do my set first, and then James will be up next. Pull. One more. Here we go. Okay, so we did our first 2 movements of the workout, which was the stiff arm pull down, and then we did the close grip seated cable row for the lower repetitions. Now we're going to bump the repetitions up to about 7 to 9. We've exhausted the slow twitch muscle fibers. We've excited the nervous system with the low rep training, and now we're going to go about 7 to 9, which is a perfect range for hypertrophy as well. we're sticking with, like I said, we're working with the lats. We're going to do a pull down now. We're going to do an underhand grip pull down so that the elbows are going to remain close to the body, which helps to activate the lat muscles more so than the middle back. Another thing that you'll notice about this workout is that, and I believe in this very thoroughly for all back workouts, even if you don't necessarily split it up into lats, mid-back, even if you just do one complete workout, I switched the angle of pull on the body. So we had a seated cable row where we're basically pulling from a horizontal position, and now we're going to pull from a vertical, straight up and down, and then we're going to finish off with a row. So there's 3 different angles of pull, activating the back differently, activating the central nervous system differently, and just making sure that we recruit all muscle motor unit pools in the workout, which basically is to cause full growth in the lat muscles and any muscle that you're working. So I'm going to do some underhand grip pull downs now and get into it. I love my straps. Don't be embarrassed to use straps during workouts because I don't want my forearms giving out before my back. Taking about a shoulder width grip on the bar. As you can see when I do these, or at least how I'm doing them today, I'm sitting pretty straight up and down. I'm keeping my chest out to make sure that we get a good contraction in the lats, a little arch in my lower back. Very, very strict pull. You don't see any body swing when I'm doing it. It's all lat movement. When I get to the top, I get a full stretch at the top. For 1 or 2 seconds, I actually let the shoulders release a little bit so that the lats can pull out more. And as soon as I feel that deep stretch, that's when I powerfully pull down to the bottom, hold the contraction for a moment, and then it's a controlled 2 to 3 seconds to the top. Absolutely, right now my lats are absolutely killing me, and it's right in the belly of the lats, so try doing this way. Hashtag boom, because you see us say that all the time.
It's getting there.
The reason why I say it is because my lats are booming with a pump. Anyway, we're doing the 4th exercise now for the lat, the belly of the lats. We're not moving into mid-back quite yet. And it's going to be a 1-arm dumbbell row. Again, another movement where the elbow stays close to the body on the contraction to activate the lats primarily. We're not going to do the usual 1-arm rows that most people do with the leg up on the bench or just bending over by a dumbbell rack. It's going to be the Merlin special 1-arm rows, which we have shown on the show a couple of times before.
Yes,
but for guys who haven't seen it, you know, this is you'll see it again because it's a great movement to isolate the muscle. There's no swinging involved. There's no momentum involved. It's just pure lat contraction. It's very, very strict, so you can't go as heavy as you can on normal 1-arm rows, but it doesn't make a difference because you feel it twice as much. So I just set up an incline bench here. On this incline, you can use this incline. You can use a slightly less incline. I like to change the incline now and again just to change the angle of pull on the lat. But you'll see how I do the movement. How my body is positioned, how I put my shoulder into the pad, because you have to get your torso in the correct position to make sure you get this movement right and get it strict. So watch carefully how I do it, and let's hit some lats. as you can see, as I did it, using the left arm, I took my right shoulder, buried it into the bench, grabbed the bench and held it for support, got my leg behind me. When I grabbed the dumbbell, you might not have seen this, but I actually grabbed it closer to the top.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I did that today is because I wanted to angle the dumbbell backward a little bit to force me to pull towards the hip so I can get the lat down towards the insertion. And it gives you a better lat contraction that way. You don't always have to do it that way. It's the way I'm doing it today, but it helps you. Like I said, the dumbbells tip back. Since I'm going at this angle, I want to pull back at this angle, and it just helps to make the momentum move in that direction. Going very, very slow, full stretch at the bottom, contracted at the top, controlled it on the way down. Awesome lat movement. All right, guys, so we finished the lat portion of the workout. I said this workout's going to be unique. We're actually breaking up the workout into lats and mid-back traps. So now what we're going to do is going to shift gears, and we're going to start using movements that either directly work the traps or the mid-back, round boy's mid-back trap area. So these movements are going to be movements where the arms are pulling from on the side of the body. The elbows are going to be away from the body, which changes the plane of motion, which changes how your body has to pull it, which back muscles are most activated. So we're going for the middle back. Remember, this is an FTX2 workout, so now that we're going back to middle back, we're going to start again with the high reps to exhaust these slow twitch muscle fibers. The first movement we're going to use is going to be a Smith machine bent row. However, we're not going to pull the weight into the abs or the lower abs like most people do when they're doing wide grip bent rows, which does work the middle back but also the lats as well. We're actually going to pull up higher. You'll see when I do the movement, we're going to be pulling up right below the chest so that the elbows are forced up very, very high, and the motion is pulling the bar here, which will activate all the muscles across the middle of the back and the traps better than if the bar was pulled lower. So we're going for a direct hit on the mid traps and rhomboid muscles, and we're going to go for sets of, again, about 20 to 25 reps. I'm not going too heavy. I'm just going to pump them out like a machine, but under full control, and start off this mid-back part of the workout. Here we go. Barely got my 20 reps.
That's a long set, I was going to say.
That really hurt, guys, but as you can see, the way I did the exercise, I stepped back from the bar a little bit, bent all the way over the torso, so I'm about 90 degrees, and the bar was coming up to my low chest.
So you can't put too heavy on here.
Oh, no. Well, first of all, we're going for high reps, so you can't go that heavy. But second of all, it could put your lower back in a precarious position because you're far away from the bar, you're not over the bar.
Right.
So I wouldn't go too heavy no matter what with this movement.
Yeah.
But man, could you feel that upper back contract. About a 20th rep, I was smoked.
Okay.
All right, guys, so we're continuing our attack now on the mid-back traps. We're going to go into a shrug movement now on a machine. The way that we're going to do it is we're going to lean our torso slightly forward and also keep our head down, because what we're looking to do is not just work the top of the traps, we want to work down to the lower portion of traps as well. We're trying to work all the way up the V taper of the traps, all the way from the bottom where they insert all the way to the top. So we're going to now work into the lower trap area and some of the top trap area. Also going to give our biceps a little bit of a break because I've been getting trashed during this workout before we go back into another pulling movement. So shrugs are next, and they're going to be somewhere between 8 and 10 reps or so. Slow tempo. Again, we're looking to hit those fast twitch muscle fibers. We've now exhausted the slow twitch fibers in the mid-back with the bent over rows, so we're now moving on to the next phase. And like I said, shrugs are next, and then we'll move on to some more mid-back. All right, so James is about to do his set. He's leaning slightly forward. Keep the head down a little bit more. There you go. So what he's doing by leaning forward a little bit and by keeping his head forward instead of straight up, he's not only working the top of the trap, but down a little bit lower into the lower portion of the trap. He's getting a really good squeeze at the top, controlling it to the bottom, squeeze at the top. So we're going right here. Because locks that the way.
Yeah.
Not just here, pulling down into the traps into here.
Yeah.
That gives you that 3D effect in the upper back. Good set. All right, so we're still in our mid-back attack, FTX2 workout. We did the bent rows up to the chest to start, and then we did mid-upper trap shrugs, and now we're gonna go back to hitting the mid-back with a pulling movement. This is going to be an upper cable pull, somewhere in between what would be a pull down and a seated cable row. You'll see the angle. The elbows are gonna stay very nice and high. We have demonstrated this movement before on the show using a rope, but today we're gonna use a long straight bar. Elbows gonna stay very high. We're gonna pull into the mid-chest again because we're looking to activate not so much the lats, we already hit those, but more the mid-back traps rhomboid area. This is also a very strict movement. You have to keep your torso in the same position the whole time, and you'll see the way I set up with my chest out and high and arching my lower back. And make sure you keep that position because otherwise you're not going to get the contraction in the back that you need if your shoulders roll forward or if your body's rolled forward. So don't go too heavy on this one. You'll see we'll go light, slow, strict, and we get a heavy squeeze, working the mid-back.
Dino.
I just set up a chair here because it was nearby, but it could be a bench, doesn't have to be. You could even do these standing sometimes. This is the way we're going to do them today. Taking a wide grip on the bar. Feet in front, chest high. Squeeze it back.
I'm under tension. Drop it. Get it. Nice.
So as you can see, that angle of pull, I stayed in the same position the whole time. There was no swinging of the torso, and I was bringing the bar to the upper portion of the chest. I could not touch my chest. There's no way I could. I was bringing my arms back as far as I could, and I was retracting the shoulder blades in and squeezing, and as soon as I felt that tight squeeze in the back, I held it for a second or two, and then I slowly released to the front. You don't get a tremendous stretch in this exercise, but still make sure you outstretch your arms all the way, set yourself, and pull with the mid-back. Try not to pull with the biceps, and definitely don't lean back to help with momentum. Strict movement, and you'll kill the middle back. Okay guys, we are now going into our last back movement of the day.
Thank God.
Thank God. We are trash, there's no two ways about it. We're working on battery power. We killed it today, but that's awesome. This last back movement, again, is to work the middle back, and it's a little bit unusual. It's not really a pull down or a row. I don't even know what to call it, but you're gonna see how I do it. Now the movement starts out wide, so the elbows are out wide, and we're gonna actually be pulling into our body. Now the idea is to actually pull almost as if you're trying to pull your elbow behind your body. What we're doing is we're just contracting everything in the middle back. For competitors who compete in bodybuilding competition, it's almost like you're trying to squeeze into the back double bicep pose. This movement gives you a completely different feel than most pull down and row movements because of the angle of pull, but it's a great way to finish off the middle back. It's a great way to get different stimulation into the back, and it's a great way for us to trash ourselves to the point that we just need about a half an hour to lay down before we work out. So watch how I do this movement closely. Again, this is another movement where you don't want to use a tremendous amount of weight. The form's got to stay strict. You got to keep your torso in that same position throughout the movement and pull the elbows back as if you're trying to pull them behind the body to get the full effect of the movement. All right?
So you sit a little bit forward.
I was just gonna say,
Right.
you sit a little bit forward in front of the cables so that they're already kind of behind your back, and I'm almost leaning forward a little bit, so I can get that pull behind the back. And trust me, at the bottom, I am squeezing with everything I possibly have, picturing my elbows just jamming into my body, and you'll feel all the little muscles of the middle back just squeezing together.
Nice.
Absolutely awesome movement.
We just wrapped up a mental back workout today. James was along for the ride. And again, excuse me if the camera shakes a little bit. It took everything we had today. We are even skipping calves. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna do calves later in my home gym because I got nothing left.
We're hungry. We're tired. We just want to wrap it up. But James, so I'm glad you came today. It was exactly 1 year since you moved to California, and 8 weeks since we've been training with Eric. So talk to me a little bit about your journey. I know I asked you that a couple weeks into the program, but now it's been 8 weeks. So talk to me about what it's been like so far under Eric's guidance. And
Oh, it's been a rebirth of training. It's just I'm just awake again. When I first started with Eric, he handed me the diet. Like I said, I got the diet. I'm like, dude, I don't eat that many carbs in a week. That's for a day. I go, I'm gonna get fat. And he's like, no, you won't. I'm like, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. I can turn into a fat guy. And I started eating. I started filling out. And he's like, your body looks like it was malnourished. So after that, I just bought into the system. It was tough getting the first few meals in. I went from 248 to 272 in about 6 weeks.
oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't see it myself, but my clothes are tighter. I'm like, I go, does the shirt shrink? And then I see you guys are like, whoa, you got so much bigger. And the strength is going up, and with the negatives, you're doing a 4-second negative hold. So I find I'm getting stronger in the gym now. And now we're critiquing the diet. We're trying to drop some water because I got a couple of projects that are coming up, and I got to drop some water. So I'm about 265 now, maybe. But yeah, super excited. It's just Eric's the man. I got to tell you, man. He's
So,
awesome.
a lot of people, when you first, and we're not going to mention any names, but a lot of people at the beginning were like, you know a lot of people, why don't you ask this guy to help you and this guy to help you? And now it's like everyone's asking you. Talk about that a little bit, because I think it's funny.
Yeah,
you know?
it took a few weeks. I remember Dave said, he says, watch, the way people start asking you, what are you doing? Because that happened to you. You're actually 1 year with Merlin now, and I'm 8 weeks. So I was like, yeah, okay. So a couple weeks go by, and then it's like, so what are you doing? And I'm like, you're right, man. People are starting to ask me who I'm training with, what I'm doing. So the proof's in the pudding. The guy's a genius. He knows exactly what he's doing. And everything's, your workout's different than my workout. My diet's different than your diet. Everyone's is tailor-made. He's not like a carbon copy for everybody. So you really feel specialized and really attended to. And he sends you special workouts for you. And it's an amazing feeling to have someone like Eric paying attention. He takes all the thinking out of it. I don't got to worry about what I'm doing. I don't worry about the cadence and the tempo. And I got to worry about the weight. He takes all the thinking out of it. So all I got to do is get my meals, weigh my meals, measure everything out. I don't got to think of. It takes a lot of the thinking, a lot of the
It's
stress
kind of
off.
nice.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's really comforting.
Eric, what's your plan for him? Like you, do you keep in mind what he's got coming as far as project, and what was your plan at the beginning, and now versus now, and with James?
Just like working with a competitor, I need to know what shows we have planned, when they have planned, so I know the timing of the off-season plan versus the pre-contest time. It's the same thing with an actor like James, except the only thing is that sometimes things come up for guys like James a lot quicker, or they come up spur of the moment where he has to be ready for an event or a shoot or a red carpet appearance or whatever, in 4 weeks that he wasn't expecting, or 6 weeks. So I have to be able to change things on the dime. So what I originally wanted to do with James, in my opinion, was that he was undersized for his height, and also because he is into where he's trying to go is the action hero genre. So he needs to be big, he needs to be impressive, he needs to take up the whole movie screen.
And he needs to be in shape all the time,
He
being an
needs to
actor.
be in shape all the time. And when I took a look at him in the beginning, yeah, he looked great. Of course he looked great. But I could see right away that his body was underfed. I know from watching the way he used to train, his training was very ineffective because he was just using a lot of momentum. He was just focusing on how much weight he was moving and getting it for reps. And also he was hurting. I also know that, because he's not 20 years old, or, when you get to your 40s, your joints, they get ruined from that kind of training. So I wanted to find a system for him where we could get him growing again and feed his body properly. And I knew that it was going to be tough because it was going to be a complete 180 from where he was before, changing his training into a much more stricter style with lighter weights. He had to get over that ego thing in the gym of, sometimes cutting his weights in half. But I promised him, I said, if you do this for me, you will not only every single workout, you'll get more out of one set than you're going to get from an entire workout doing it your own way. You're going to start to see growth you've never seen before, coupled with the diet. And again, he said he was going to get fat, he was worried, but a guy of his size needed to eat a lot more protein and carbohydrates than he was eating. And I knew that slowly over time, his metabolism would start to match the amount of food and he would start getting hungry. And the funny thing is that he was having trouble getting all his meals down. His 6 meals a day, I said, I promise you, soon you're going to tell me that you're hungry. Within a couple weeks, he came to me and said, is there any way we can get in 7 meals? So I said, I knew it was going to happen. So basically, just watching his body, and I was, I was sure of it. I knew it was going to happen. He went from 248 pounds, relatively soft looking to 272 pounds.
Much harder.
Bigger, fuller, harder. And the proof is that not only was I seeing it, you seeing it, he was telling me he'd walk around Gold's Gym, and all these guys who have been seeing him for the whole year going, what are you doing?
That
all
is
of a sudden,
great.
you
That's
look
the
twice
best.
the size.
Isn't that the best?
His wife actually came up to me and said to me, thank you so much for taking over. You've created a new man.
Because she was gone, she was out of town for a little bit.
Right.
She was visiting family, so she
she
came
was-
back after a few weeks, and she's like, oh my God,
She
yeah.
was thanking me, and which was great.
Not that I was hideous before.
No, but
Never,
she could tell the
I was just
the
taking
difference.
a diamond that was not cut perfectly, and now we're going to cut him perfectly. So basically my plans for him now is to put on a lot of size. He has some things coming up that we have to get him into better condition for. So I have to pull back on the diet a little bit, up the cardio a little bit, get him ready for that appearance. And then whenever, we have a little rest period, I'm going to try to put on some size. So it's going to be cyclical back and forth because my goal for him one day is to see him, in the biggest movies, weighing 285 pounds, 4% body fat.
He can take it.
And a man of his size can take it. He's got it within him, and he's got the body. His body's reacting. I know we're going to do it.
Yeah, and this has just been 8 weeks. We just said it's been, but this is a
8 weeks.
long-term project. I mean, like you said, you have some short-term goals, certain things he needs to do, but this is a long-term project. So eventually, he'll be where he needs to be all the time, and all he has to do is just stay on the program.
Well,
that's
the thing. I have my bodybuilding clients who like to stay in shape year-round. I have my bodybuilding clients who don't mind getting out of shape. I prefer that not to happen, but I can't control everybody.
Yeah.
But when you're in a position of a James, and you're in the public eye, and you have to
be
do
in
red
shape.
carpet appearances and events and this and that, you can never look bad. Maybe
No off-season.
sometimes his body fat could be 6-7%, sometimes it could be 3%, but he always has to look good. He's always got to be prepared to take his shirt off.
Yeah.
He's always got to look like he's training and spot on, and that's what we're going to create with him. We're going to create a look with him where he looks 365 days a year. He looks amazing, whether he's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, more shredded or less shredded, but he's always going to look like a hero.
How does that sound, James?
2 thumbs up. He's not going to need any body armor or fake or any
That's
CGI.
right. Just take the shirt off.
muscle
whatever.
suits.
That's it.
No muscle suits, nothing
We're making
like
the
that.
muscle suits here at Gold's Gym.
And soon what I'm picturing is in my head is little bobblehead dolls of James.
And my trainer.
And look at the sacrifices that I make for him because I'm sitting on this bench here, my feet don't touch the floor like a little child. And his feet are right on the floor, so I'm glad Dave's just filming.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's the plan. It's just going to be cyclical back and forth. He tells me what he needs, I plan for it, and we just take it right from there. So
It was very exciting. There's a lot of things coming up. We're not gonna say everything because we want to have James back and want to keep updating you guys. But thanks for coming back today, James.
Guys, thanks for having
Happy 1 year anniversary. Happy 8 weeks with Merlin, and then off to many more, you guys.
For sure.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being here.